Menashe and Ephraim. So yesterday we spoke about the fact that anytime the Torah says the word hine, it means like it's a chiddush, it's a novelty. So they told Yosef, behold, your father is sick, like it's an unbelievable novelty. So what's the novelty? So we quoted the Gemara in Bava Metzia, Daf Pei Zayin. The Gemara in Bava Metzia says that up until now, nobody got sick. And Yaakov was the one that asked Hashem that there should be choli preceding Misa.
Wow.
And therefore, behold your father sick. Wow, this is a phenomenon. So somebody asked yesterday, when we were learning this, wait a minute, that doesn't seem to make sense. We do find illness prior to Yaakov Avinu.
I thought he was going to ask, why did he ask for that?
Oh, so the pshat why he asked for that is because that way a person could... A warning sign, exactly. He could settle his affairs, instruct his family, etc., etc. So as to why he asked for that, what the purpose was, you could say that. But the question was that we find sickness even before Yaakov Avinu. How do we know? Where do we find sickness before Yaakov Avinu? Because if you remember, there's a medrash that says that Avram Avinu had a necklace and there was a stone on the necklace. And anybody who saw that stone would be healed. What do you mean would be healed? There's no sickness. This is Tosfos Kasha in Bava Basra 16b. Tezayin Beis. Tosfos asks the question. From a question from the Gemara in Bava Metzia to the question to that medrash. And Tosfos answers two answers. You could say that even though there was no sickness, but people still got wounds. Like Avraham Avinu himself after the Bris Milah had a wound that Hashem came to visit him and was Mavaka Chola. So you could say that that's what the stone was the purpose for. And Tosfos' second answer is that of course there was sickness. But there was never a sickness that you died from. That didn't exist. The fact that there was a sickness that you got sick, that always existed. But v'hine avicha chola, they told Yosef, according to Tosfos, that your father's deathly ill, that he's very ill, he's going to die. That was a chiddush, that was a novelty, because up until then, that didn't exist. So yesterday I asked an interesting shaila. I'm going to throw out the question to you, and I don't even know where to look for the answer. But we have to, I just want you to think about it. It's not a 1, 2, 3 answer. Think this over. We wanted to know if there's a mitzvah of Bikur Cholim at that time on a chole like Yaakov Avinu that's for sure going to die. Meaning, according to Tosfos, there's a sickness that's not like any other sickness. Yaakov Avinu asked for a sickness that there really isn't any cure for. It's a sickness shemevi, a choli shemevi le'misa. So we were wondering, is there a concept of bikur cholim for such a sickness also? Is the mitzvah bikur cholim only for a chola, that someone that you want to encourage him to get better, that the Gemara says that when you go visit the sick person, you take away some of the sickness? But this sickness that Yaakov asked, he asked for a sickness that nothing should be taken away from the sickness. Dafka, nothing should be taken away. He wanted the sickness. The person's supposed to die, that's for sure. The Hashem's doing a chesed that he's making him sick before, that he should know before. Right? So we were wondering if there's a mitzvah of bikur cholim, what's such thing? Avi. You had a shot?
I was going to say, my humble idea would be that yes, there is, because...
Shouldn't make a difference what's going to come out.
Right, you're making him feel better.
That time.
Yeah, isn't that... Don't we want to interpret the mitzvahs as an expansive way to give people the most sachar possible?
Yeah, but the question would be:
someone's old, he's ill. You come, you strengthen his spirit, you make him feel better. Why wouldn't that be classic?
Maybe that's the mitzvah. But I'm wondering if that's the mitzvah bikur cholim.
But Hashem can always make him less anything.
Oh, but that's what we're saying. According to Tosfos, That's the other sickness. But this sickness this sickness that Yaakov asked for, there doesn't lie any refuah. He didn't want any refuah for this sickness.
Right. But we don't know.
We don't know what type of sickness he has.
Yeah.
Oh, and you say that, that's interesting. We have a technical problem. Because we don't know what sickness he has. But Lu Yitzuya, let's talk about Yaakov Avinu himself. See, I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you one piece of the Gemara. I forgot, I'm sorry. Forgot to tell you. The Gemara says after that from Yaakov Avinu until Elisha, so that any sickness, you for sure died. Okay? Meaning you have to say any sickness, according to you have to say any sickness that a person who was old and possible that this was going to bring on the death, it always did that, for sure. No miracles. Elisha was the Talmud of Eliyahu.
And before Yaakov, they could recover from such an illness?
No, there was no illness at all.
Well, there was the stone on Abraham Avinu's necklace. So
that you have to say, Tosfos says that's the sickness, that was the cold, the flu, the things that happened to you that didn't happen towards the end of your life.
People die of the flu sometimes.
Okay, so the strep throat.
Today they do. Okay.
Right. You know what I'm saying? There were sicknesses that you got as you grew up, I guess, but those weren't sicknesses that ever brought death.
Right.
And then there was and then the Yaakov asked for a sickness that should come out at the end of a person's life to bring upon the death. So the Gemara says that up until Elisha, there was no such thing as recovery, because that's what Yaakov wanted. Once Elisha came along, he davened to Hashem that there should be a possibility of getting better even from such a sickness. So my question is, from the time period of Yaakov to Elisha, where it didn't exist the possibility to get better, would there have been a mitzvah bikkur chaylim? That was the question.
So I think what's underlying this is what brings on the mitzvah of bikkur chaylim?
Exactly. Very good, Ronnie. Beautiful. That's really the question. What's the mitzvah bikkur chaylim? Is it to enhance the person and so to say do whatever you could do to help him get better? And therefore it wouldn't apply in that case.
Get better is in recover.
And recover, right. And therefore it wouldn't apply. Or maybe no, the mitzvah bikkur chaylim is you come and bivakar l'chaylim. And you have nothing to do, but you see, the Gemara is saying, the Gemara indicates that your bikkur chaylim is connected to him getting better.
It doesn't say getting better. You're taking 1/60th of his...
That's part of getting better.
Not necessarily.
So what is it?
If I take 1/60th of cancer away from you, you still have cancer, you're still going to die.
So what's the point of taking away 1/60th?
The point is that maybe...
Take 60 people.
That's the question that the Farshim asked. Just take 60 people.
Chemotherapy can take away a certain percentage. So if we got enough people visiting, then we only have a small cancer. Then the chemo finishes up.
No, but I think the point of the Gemara is
1/60th each time of what that one thing.
So you get a few hundred people, and then you get the chemo.
You're visiting. I'm sorry. In reality sense, you're never getting the person better. You maybe get him a...
Well, maybe you don't see that. One second. You don't know that.
Right.
Chemically, nothing is changing. The cancer is there.
We don't believe you.
Good spirits, being in good spirits can make a difference.
You're saying happiness can change it? Maybe.
No, Usher, what I'm saying is that if the Gemara is saying at the end of the day, that's not the purpose of Bikkur Chaylim. But if the Gemara is pointing that out, so probably the concept of Bikkur Chaylim...
So it must be saying something else. The only thing you're doing by this is you're easing the person. So easing is going. Bikkur Chaylim means what? To visit the sick.
Well, actually, it doesn't even mean to visit.
What does it mean?
People make a big mistake about the word Bikkur. The word Bikur, where else do we find the word Bikur?
No.
That's with a chaf.
Right.
We find it when it comes to sacrifices.
Bickering, like spouses, like they're bickering. Sorry. Bickering with a sick person, they gives them energy.
That's very good.
Makes them more alive, you know.
The people who are going to bicker with the chola probably shouldn't do the bicker.
Oh, okay. Got it.
So what does it mean?
The word bikur means, like we find by a korban. When you dedicate an animal to Beis Hamikdash, so the Gemara says that let's say you dedicated it 3 months ago. You only got around to bringing it to the temple 3 months later. So the halach is that you have to look at the animal and you have to be mevakir the animal. What does that mean? You have to look it over and make sure that between the time you dedicated it and now it didn't get any mum, it didn't get any blemish. So the word bikur means to look into a situation.
Okay.
So bikkur chaylim means to not only just to visit the sick. If you go visit the sick and you sit there and you shmooze, that's very nice, but it's not the mitzvah bikkur chaylim. The mitzvah of Bikur Cholim is to go there and look into his situation. Is there anything I could do? You're taking this medicine. Do you need me to get, any, do you need any provisions? I have to look into his situation and see. Did anything do? I once heard a story about a big Adam Gadol that whenever he used to go visit a sick person, he used to get all the information, all the medicines the guy's taking, and how often in the day he's taking it, and you have to take it with food and without food. This was the mitzvah of Bikur Cholim, to look into his situation. What does his situation require? That's the mitzvah of Bikur Cholim.
Going back to what I was saying, still in that context, you're not actually healing the person. The mitzvah is to go and see how he's doing, see what could be done for him.
See what could look into it, right? See what could be done.
You're doing your part of being a decent human being. That's it.
Okay.
Getting back to your question is even if we extend the life by 1 second.
Absolutely.
But in this case, you don't.
That's something called Chayei Shah. Very good point, Ari.
At this point, he's dying.
Yeah, but he's not.
Okay, everybody, I leave it up to the supper table, Mitzvah Hashem. This is good conversation.
If you want to crack it, how did his prolonged life? Never died.
Exact time is predetermined when you're going to die.
Oh, Yaakov
know
Mei.
what that time
So
is.
how does that fit
Because
into
you don't know,
it?
that means you
So the
don't
whole
know.
thing is an act.
It's set, but
He's saying, okay, I'm going to get a little weaker.
You're going to
and-
visit.
Very good, very
Yaakov
good.
Avinu's
I
life
brought a small.
was like 3,000 years old.
There's a way to change the decree of
I'm
the
alive.
birth. If you talk
No,
about
like
the
4,000.
All right.
That's another.
That's the way to change
The
reality.
question on this
No, Yaakov Lomez.
is Rabbi Yaakov asked Yosef to bury me over there, and he said he will.
Right.
Then he should have shown.
Then he should have what? Oh, he used to swear, yeah.
He gave his word. Why does he have to?
Why do you have to swear?
Rabbi
So we
Sachs
spoke
did.
about it yesterday.
Oh, he did?
So we said the simple pshat is, and brought down the Meforshim, that Yaakov trusted Yosef. But Yaakov knew that really Yosef's not in control.
Paro.
Paro is in control. And therefore he said, he made him swear because that way he'll have more ammunition to tell Paro, I swore. And yesterday we pointed out a very interesting point. We said that today, if you would tell a big government official, what am I supposed to do? I swore to this. He'll say, you swore? I swore 50 things. You don't have to keep your word. Right? That's how politics is. But in those days, you see, even a Paro would have been scared, right? And Paro, he swore. That's a whole different story.
I don't have to be scared
Why?
because Yosef knew 71 languages. And Paro asked him not to tell anybody he knows one more language.
Yosef always had that leverage over
They
him.
said, swear me. So he says, if you don't let me keep this shvur, I won't keep the other.
Nice, I like that.
That's very true. The real question is, on that, just deviating a drop, is we all know, first of all, that Mitzrayim wasn't so far from Eretz Canaan, from Eretz Yisrael. It's not so far. We also know that Yosef and his brothers all lived in Mitzrayim for X amount of years. Why didn't Paro ever learn the Lashon HaKodesh? Instead of telling Yosef to swear not to tell anybody he doesn't know Lashon HaKodesh, 1 hour a day, I'm sure Paro could find time between the ping pong and the tennis. Let's go ahead. Let's have a Lashon HaKodesh class. Okay? Hebrew Ulpan. Nothing. Why not? Why couldn't he learn the language? The answer is because Lashon, what do we say Hebrew is Lashon Kodesh? It's a language that's holy. Paro was the antithesis of holiness. He couldn't get it. Someone who's as tamei as Paro can't learn Lashon Kodesh. He can't learn Lashon Kodesh. It doesn't connect to somebody who has tumah. People now know Hebrew. Hebrew is different. That's Ivrit. It's not Lashon Kodesh. And we won't continue in that discussion. Okay.
The other thing is the Mitzrayim considered the Jews as lower people. So maybe they think it's Hashivas to lower people.
But you see that he was so afraid that he was scared of it. Like,
Scared of them, but not.
but he didn't. Also, he was a Mevakesh Chachma. Why did he know all the languages? He really wanted to know Chachma. You see, Talmei HaMelech. He wanted to translate the Torah in Yavana. It's like they knew that there was Chachma there. Okay. So they told Yosef, your father's sick. So Yosef took his 2 sons, Menashe and Ephraim. Okay, let's do Pasuk Beis. Vayaged liYaakov, and it was told to Yaakov. Vayomer, and he said, again, Hine, behold, Chiddush. novelty. Bincha Yosef, your son Yosef Ba'elecha is coming to you, who has come to you. Vayischazek Yisrael, so Yisrael, referring to Yaakov, strengthened himself. Vayeshev alamita, and he sat on the bed. So what's the hine in this pasuk? The hine, before we said it, there was a big novelty that his father was sick, because they didn't usually get sick at all in those times, especially so late in life. And now it says, oh, your son Yosef is here. What's the big thing that your son comes to visit a father? It's like, wow, hine, your son came. Well, Yosef was that busy in running the country that it would have been a big novelty that he showed up. So we didn't know yesterday. We just had the question. But Vayischazek Yisrael, we go here to calling Yaakov Yisrael. It says that Yaakov strengthened himself and he sat on the bed. So Rashi says, why did he do that? Kavod. Yosef's the king. You got to give him honor.
He's his son.
Oh, the other side is he's really his son. See, Rashi is bothered by that. You see, Rashi says, Yaakov said, even though he's my son, he's still the king. And from here you see that you give kavod to the melucha. Meaning, if not for the fact that Yosef was his son, it sounds like we wouldn't have a proof. It's his son and he's still giving kavod. Says Rashi, oh, this is a proof that you give kavod to the malchus. Right? So Rashi seems to be very very questionable. Why Yaakov would have had it just because of his son? That's a reason not to give kavod to him as a melech. You're not honoring the person; you're honoring the position, so to say, the position of royalty. You're honoring Yosef. At the end of the day, did have a lot of power and position, and Yaakov was going and giving him kavod. And I'll ask you another question. So, what kavod does he give him? That instead of lying down, he sits up. I would have thought that the kavod would have been that he bowed down to him, like possibly he did in the previous psukim. We see Vayishtachu Yisrael al Rosh Hamita, the end of pasuk Lamed Aleph. But here he didn't bow down to him; he just sat up. What type of kavod is that? You could really say like this. In other words, there's three levels. There's bizayon, there's straight out denigration. Then there's in the middle where you're not giving kavod, but you're not degrading the person. And then there's kavod. So it's like this. If Yaakov lied down on his bed and while Yosef was there just remain lying down, that's probably bizayon. That's some level of denigration. Sitting up on the bed, that's parif. Bowing down, that's kavod. But here the pasuk Rashi is assuming that sitting on the bed is called kavod because we learned from it kavod malchus. So I saw an unbelievable sforno. The sforno says that very simple. Yaakov is chola. He's sick. He's deathly ill. He doesn't have the strength to bow down. The only strength he has is to sit up on the bed. That's the only strength he has. That's the most he can do. So what do you learn from this sforno? That when you're in a situation, you try the best you could do. That's my Rabbi used to learn from this sforno.
It's beautiful.
He used to say that here Yaakov Avinu, he knows he can't bow down, so you try the best you can do. You give it all your strength, even if you know ultimately you're not going to be able to do the whole thing, right? You come to a situation, you're learning something, you know you're not going to be able to finish the whole thing. Oh, forget it. It's not for me. Right? That's how we think. But we have to say, let me give it my best shot. Let me do the best I can do. Ultimately, that's all Hashem wants us to do anyway. But the Yetzer Hara tries to tell us, if I can't do the whole thing, I can't do it right, I'm not going to be able to do it properly anyway, so forget about it. I'm not going to be able to learn all the laws of Shabbos, so I won't learn any laws of Shabbos. Maybe learn some. Do as much as you could. Okay? I'm not going to be able to do a certain mitzvah verbally, but at least do some of it. Okay.
That goes in, if I can tell the story.
Sure.
We used to do a lot of business with Remain. So my brother visited us here. And Shabbos we went to shul, we had tied the shul over there. So the dictator, Shashko, used to make them work 7 days a week. So the Jews used to come with their handbags and everything. They went to the office and hop a couple hours and go into the shul Shabbos. So just a catch. So my brother was there one Shabbos and he gave it to Russia. And he says, God pays a Jew, exactly this what you said. God pays a Jew for what he could do. What he can't do.
Was out of his control. Was out of his control.
It was a dictator. So what they could do, he pays you for what the sky you have at least, that you took off a couple hours and you went. So they all came over and kissed him on both cheeks.
Wow.
Boy,
Does that work with with Averot also?
So what?
No,
Let's say you have a certain sin that you know you can't stop doing, but you lessen the quantity or the quality of the sin.
Absolutely. Rabbi Brun told me in the name of Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky that that's for sure, because when you talk about tshuva and someone is doing a sin, for example, Lashon Hara, someone is steeped in talking Lashon Hara, it's not possible for him to go from one day to the next of talking Lashon Hara a lot to no talking Lashon Hara. But you could make yourself some sort of a game plan that tomorrow, during supper, I don't talk Lashon Hara, and you go less and less. And Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky felt that was a process of teshuvah. That's a practical level of doing teshuvah. So I heard that straight from Rabbi Brun in the name of Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky. Okay, so on the top of page 270, Vayomer Yaakov el Yosef. Yaakov said to Yosef, Kel Shakai, which is the names of Hashem. Nira Elai appeared to me, Luz, in the city of Luz. Be'eretz Canaan, which is in the Eretz Canaan. Vayivorech Osi, and he blessed me. Vayomer Elai, and he said to me, Hineni, behold I, Mafricha. I will, Mafricha means from the language of pri, which means fruit. Mafricha means will make you fruitful. V'hirbisicha, and I'll make you many. Unisaticha, and I will give you lekal amim, to become many, like a whole congregation of many nations. V'nosati, and I will give as ha'aretz hazayis, this land, l'zaracha, to your offspring, acharecha, after you, achuzas olam, an eternal possession. It's going to be yours forever.
Achuz is possession.
Achuzah is a possession. Va'ata, now, shnei bonecha, your two sons, hanoladim lecha, that have been born to you, be'eretz Mitzrayim, in the land of Mitzrayim, ad bo'i elecha, until I came to you, Mitzrayim, to Mitzrayim. So the sons that were born to you from the time that Yosef entered Mitzrayim, and up until the time that Yaakov says that he came to Mitzrayim, which is now, as if to say that any children born after this will not be included in what he's about to say. Lihei, 2 words. To me they are. And then he says again, Ephraim and Menashe, he says their names out, Ephraim and Menashe, Kiruven and Shimon, like Reuven and Shimon, Yili should be to me.
What does that mean?
What does that mean? What does that mean they should be to me? Says Rashi. Rashi says, Lihaim, that they are mine, they are part of the calculation of getting a portion in the land in Eretz Yisrael. So we divide the land, so when we get to Yosef, there's going to be, Ephraim's going to get a portion, and Manasseh's going to get a portion. So they're like the Shvatim. They've now become absorbed in being like the Shvatim. Simple pshat. We'll see further in a moment. Then Yaakov continues. He says, Umo ladetcha. So what I told you before was a indication, because since Yaakov said, up until I've come to Mitzrayim, it's indicative that once any children born afterwards will not be part of this, will not become absorbed in the Shvatim. But here the pasuk says it straight out. Umo ladetcha, Yaakov says, and your offspring, and those that you'll give birth to, asher holadeta, that you will give birth, acharehem, after them, l'cha yihiyu, to you they should be. Which means, al shem acheim, upon the name of their brothers, yikaru, they should be called benachlasam, in their portion. So they're going to be absorbed either in Ephraim or Menashe, but they're not going to be given a separate portion. So there's a certain chashivos to the fact that the people that Ephraim and Manasseh weren't born when Yaakov was in Mitzrayim. They were alive when Yaakov got to Mitzrayim. But Yaakov says anyone who's born after now, they're not going to be part of it. Now the truth is, after now is going to be after Yaakov is going to die anyway, right? So the simple pshat could be is because if Yaakov's not alive, so no one has the authority to make them part of the Shvatim. Yaakov says, I have the authority as I'm alive to make them part of the Shvatim, and I am going to do that. But any children are going to be born afterwards, it means that they're going to be born after the death of Yaakov. And after the death of Yaakov, you can't say now what's going to be later. Yaakov can't do it while he's alive for when he's going to die. So therefore, the koach of bringing another person into the Shvatim, even though they really weren't born from the 4 Imahois, right, is already, that goes away once, because don't forget, Rachel and Leah have long died already. So Yaakov is the only one left from the piece of the puzzle, right? So he has the authority to bring Yosef's children in, but once he dies, and then there's no reason why these people should be part of it. Okay?
Was it sort of compensation for the Mechira in a way? Or?
So the question, let's ask straight out. Why is Yosef deserving of this? Why is Yosef deserving of this? So Avi wants to say for the Mechira, but the question now is you're opening up a can of worms.
The Mechira?
The selling of Yosef.
What does Yaakov got to do with this?
Well, the question is, did Yaakov ever know about the Mechira? That's a big discussion.
Whoa.
Did Yaakov ever know that Yosef was sold?
Who?
By the brothers.
Who says there's a possibility he didn't?
I forgot which Mephar should say what, but there's...
I mean, they took an oath. They said God shouldn't tell them.
There's a
They
Mephar
tried
that
to
says
hide
he
it.
never knew.
Never knew.
Yaakov Avinu.
Never
Who
knew.
not-
tell him.
During the 22
Awesome.
years, he had no Ruach HaKodesh.
So what?
Afterwards, he had no reason to know.
But wait, when he found out that Yosef was king,
Right.
did he think to himself, well, what happened?
Oh, maybe he thought that he...
He got into a fight.
Right, it had nothing to do with the brothers. I mean, the brothers found his coat.
But
They said, Chayra Chalasu. They were obviously, whatever this Chayra, Baruch Hashem, he got out alive. Some nice man took him in, he healed him. He worked his way down to Mitzrayim, and now he's Yosef.
Do you really think that's possible?
Absolutely.
Do you think when the
Absolutely.
brothers interacted, there wasn't like this tension? I mean, we see the tension everywhere. After he dies, the brothers.
Yosef put them at ease. After Yaakov dies, there was tension.
So
But once Yaakov was there was no tension. And we're going to talk about that in a little while.
I mean, Yaakov Avinu was one of the greatest souls to ever walk the face of the earth.
That's correct.
He spoke
And
to Hashem. How could he not pick up on something so?
Very simple. Well, during the 22 years, he wasn't talking to Hashem, Rashi says. He lost all the nevuah and Ruach HaKodesh because he was in a sad state. And you can't get Ruach HaKodesh when you're sad. But I think the pshat is that Yaakov Avinu was such a tzaddik that if a certain piece of information didn't make a difference to him, so he wasted that moment of finding information. That's wasting a moment of life. What difference does it make to him? Is there any reason now that he has to... It's a very interesting piece of information. It's geschmack, a piece of information, right? But that's not how Yaakov Avinu led his life. He wasn't like us. And therefore, if it was before he found Yosef, then maybe knowing where Yosef is, he wouldn't be able... Knowing what happened, he would be able to bring back Yosef. But once Yosef's here, as they say in Yiddish, Machshush kein chilek. Yosef's here. Hashem deemed it that he should be in Mitzrayim. Why does Yaakov need to know what happened?
I gotta go on Avi's point.
It's a tremendous thing. What?
Person on
From
the
the
planet.
from the
Nothing to do with being smart.
It has to everything to do with being smart.
No, but the
it's
kid.
not mysterious. Suddenly
Yeah.
it turns up
What
in
about
Egypt.
you?
It could be
brothers thought they were
mysterious,
doing
but
the right
I'm
thing
trying
all the time,
to. I'm
though,
trying
right?
to push you onto a different level.
So they
What
were
about
acting
Shuva? What
unusual
about
if they thought they were doing it.
Tshuva?
Didn't the brothers want
Yeah.
to do tshuva by their father? But say,
Exactly.
Father, we wronged you. We
Right.
took 22 years of your life.
So probably my assumption is
Right.
that the brothers, like the Chavetz Chaim says, that when you talk Lashon Hara to somebody and you want to do tshuva, so you go over to the guy and say, "Listen, I want to just tell you, I spoke Lashon Hara." You tell all the Lashon Hara you told the guy.
It's not Lashon Hara we're talking.
Well, no, I'm just giving you an example.
That's not reverse.
Well, one second.
Why?
That's not tshuva because you're not making the guy feel any better. I don't know if they would tell Yaakov even though it would be very nice for them to get it off their chest,
He would hate them.
you're right. He would cause such. They would cause him. Forget hate him. They would cause such an akmas nefesh to the father.
I thought the only thing that they thought that they did wrong was lie to their father, because they.
No, but later on they said Avol Hashem and Achnu. We were all. Remember when they found the money? They said, "Oh, he was begging to come out of the pit, and we didn't listen to him." So they realized that alone, even if he deserved to be there, but they should have had some rachmanis on him.
Then I think it was the will of Hashem, like because when.
At that point, it sounded like not. At that point, it seemed like they switched.
Even from the Chumash, because he didn't know. He gave the brachas to the brothers. If he knew they did this, would he give them the brachas?
Of course.
Interesting
No,
point.
I don't know.
Look what he said about Shimon and Levi.
Interesting point.
But I
Look
don't
what he
think
said about Shimon and
I
Levi.
don't think we're being fair to who Yaakov Avinu is.
Just the opposite. I don't think you're being fair. You're bringing him down as this guy that likes to know what happens.
I mean, ask him, who would tell him? They put God under an oath.
No, he's saying that if Yaakov's so smart, Yaakov
No,
can
they
figure it
put
out.
God.
It's not only that he had divine prophecy.
All right, Rabbi said you ready? This is for breakfast tomorrow morning. Because supper you got to talk about the big.
What's the answer? Why did Yaakov say that he was going to take these two kids? What's
Oh, right. Let's get back to the question.
Which
You gotta-
Parshos says that he died not knowing.
I'll look it up for you. I'll look
There
it up.
is
Yes,
such a Parshos.
absolutely.
It's
absolutely.
not Rashi though. It's not the Rambam.
It's Rishonim. It's Rishonim. So what would have been the reason why Yosef should deserve it? Now, Yosef was the firstborn of Rachel.
So he gets
So-
his portion. That's it.
This is a double portion.
That's more than double there.
Why is it more than double?
That's his and
No. It's not his. It's him being divided into two.
It's not 3.
It's not 3. It's 2.
but he says he's using very serious words here. He's saying they're going to be like my children.
Right.
And then whatever descendants there's after them, that's your children.
Right.
That's like made them into like 14 shvatim. It's a very big chashuvah. It's more than
You're saying besides for the practical financial part, they're also giving a certain chashivas.
huge, yeah. It's Yaakov's kids, it's not Yosef. Yosef's still one level less than his father. Now he's putting up to, it's Yaakov's kids. It's not Yosef's kids. It's very big.
It is. It's true. He's 100% right. And it needs to be looked into. What's the pshat in that part? Why do, even on the chashav part of it? Why do they deserve it? We'll say why did Yosef deserve it? What's unique about them more than the other brothers?
And they sinned.
Menashe and Ephraim.
Yeah.
Well, when we talk about the end, there are many shvatim that ended up having descendants that sinned.
But then it was like highlighted.
The only thing I could say is, and we're going to talk about it later on also, that Ephraim and Menashe were the only Jews, you could call them Jews, that ever grew up out of Eretz Yisrael, and were still remain Jewish and faithful.
More reasons not to be counted part of the 12.
Why?
They're not the same Adrega. Even though they
Whoa!
They're hybrid dragons.
It might be up. What is the Gemara? What's a Gemara? It's a Mefurish Gemara.
Look at that way,
The
but
Makom
it's
Shabalei Tshuva Omdim. You know the Gemara?
doesn't stand in that place. Doesn't make
That means-
doesn't make that place something special. Just
The
as it doesn't-
simple pshat in the Gemara is that the Baal Tshuva
Very-
stands
very-
higher than the Tzaddik because he had the temptation. A Tzaddik doesn't know about the temptation at all, but the Baal Tshuva once had it, and once having it and overcoming it is far harder than
What's
that.
the exact word? It says
Makom Shabalei Tshuva Omdim Ain't Tzaddik
a
Gemur
tzaddik
Omdim.
doesn't stand in the place of a Balchuva.
Doesn't say it doesn't stand. He says in the place of Baal Tshuva, a
tzaddik
Tzaddik Gomer doesn't
It
stand.
doesn't make that place so amazing.
Then what does it do? What is Gemara trying to
It just
portray?
gives them so we give them a nice additional reward. But
Doesn't say anything about reward. Doesn't say anything about reward. It says that where the tzaddik, where the Baal Tshuva stand, the tzaddik, that simple pshat is that he stands higher.
it sounds like a sewer. To me, it sounds like a sewer. It's somewhere the tzaddik doesn't go, but the other guy goes.
Why would the Gemara say that?
To be nice.
The Gemara is not trying to be nice.
Sure, the Gemara is not nice.
Like one of our Rabbi once walked in and said the first day of the school year, he says, well, I want to tell you one thing. I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to teach you Torah. I'm not here to make friends. Okay? Trust me, the Gemara is not here to make friends.
I mean, it's just interpretation.
The Gemara is here to teach you Dvar Hashem.
Rabbi, I mean, come on, a shirt that goes to I'm gonna say, a shirt that you go and you give to a dry cleaner, a brand new shirt. There's a difference.
In Donald Trump's eyes, there's a difference. In Hashem's eyes, the guy that went through
This world is a reflection of the next world. It's a difference.
That shirt that was dirty in Hashem's eyes is nicer. You know the story about the esrog that was all dirty because so many people used it. So they came to the Chassam Sofer and they said, "Is this hadar?" So he says, why did it get like this? He said, because there was a line of 500 people waiting to shake the esrog. He said, is this Hadar? I don't know if there's any more Hadar esrog than this. Okay? We don't interpret Hadar by what the secular world interprets Hadar as.
That's dirty through mitzvahs.
What?
This is dirty through
So this is dirty through overcoming Yetzer Hara. Okay. Let's go further. Va'ani and I, bivoi, when I was coming me Padan from the city, place called Padan, Mesa alai Rachel. Rachel passed away upon me. Be'eretz in Be'eretz Canaan, in the land of Canaan, but derech on the road, Ba'od, when there was still Kivras Eretz. Kivras Eretz is the amount, is like a measuring, like a mile, 2 miles. So Kivras Eretz means there was a stretch of land, Ephrath to go to Ephrat, ve'ekbereh Hasham, and I buried her there, b'derech Ephrat, on the road to Ephrat. He based Lechem, and that's
the answer.
That's Beis Lechem. What?
That's why he's giving him the reward to his kids. He's saying that, Yosef felt bad. His mother didn't get to be buried where he.
In Eretz Yisrael.
Yeah,
and I'm sorry, in Maras Machpelah.
Yeah, it's not only buried with him. So
therefore, the kids should get.
I'm giving him a piece of land that I didn't give to your own mother.
Well, it's much bigger. The piece of land that he would have given to Rachel was just a burial spot.
But it's a big that's also a point of respect and love, and it's his mother he's talking about. He didn't give that to his mother, so it's kind of retroactively giving it to his kids.
Interesting.
Otherwise, why mention this?
Oh, that's a good question. Why mention this? So Rashi says, because Yosef might be, Yaakov is thinking that Yosef might be thinking, my father wants me to take him from Eretz Mitzrayim to Eretz Canaan, and he didn't even bury my mother. He could have gone a stretch more into Eretz Yisrael. She wasn't that far away. And he didn't do that for my mother? It's a little contradictory. So Yaakov says, Yaakov had a reason, which Rashi says the reason is because he knew that the Bnei Yisrael will be coming when they leave into exile through that road, and they will be able to daven by Kever Rachel. So that's how it comes in. But the point being made is a good point, Usher, because where else would this come in this whole ongoing? Okay, everybody, so we'll hold over here. Let me know what you come out with in your Rishcha D'Oraisa, your fights over Torah. My Rosh Yeshiva of Nelson C. Finkel, I tell you, he said this to me. I heard it with my own ears. He said that one time he was fighting with a few guys in the Beis Medrash learning, and he said to me, I'm telling you, if there was a knife on the table, there would have been blood. That's what he said. So.